I paint because I find it very, very satisfying. I started painting when I was 13 years old to help me deal with my adolescence, I suppose. And I'm 89 years old now, and I still can't wait to get to the studio each day to work on my paintings. What I can say about the paintings, it's hard for me to talk about the paintings. It's as if you asked a composer what his composition was about. Really, it's up to each of you to look at the paintings and find out what it means, how it affects you. I paint because I don't know what I have inside of me, and I enjoy it because I'm constantly surprised. I look back at my work, I even wonder, am I the person who created these things? I feel very much like an agent, someone who has been put on this earth to do these, to create these images. And it's my energy that gets transferred. If you look at the painting and you feel the energy, then it has worked. But the first part is strictly for myself, so that it's hard for me to really comment about each painting. I mean, I could say that the painting above here was based on a little sketch I did of Carl Rodman. I don't intend it as a portrait of Carl, it's just my reaction to seeing him. And the painting sort of exists in its own. Years ago, I made very realistic portrait paintings. I've painted hundreds, including commissions, and I've sort of given that up because I found it was too confining. I wanted to have the freedom to make it a painting. So I asked the viewer to consider it as a painting, not necessarily a portrait of Carl. And all of these basically are come from my imagination. And they're a surprise to me. And they continue, as long as they continue to be a surprise to me. You know, obviously I'm very fond of color, shape, texture, and if people were to ask, it's sort of like music. If you look for a story in the painting, you're not going to find it, or you can create a story about it. The paintings are to be experienced more as a direct sensory experience. This one down here is based on a little sketch I made of Arthur Weiss, Arturo as I call him, and I'm not sure he would be very happy with it, but that was not my intention. I'm not a kind of a portrait painter that's going to do a pleasing portrait of a person. These paintings are all, you know, I really don't know what to say about them, except that obviously I've been satisfied with them enough to put them up for exhibit. And then when I see them up in a strange place in my studio, of course I have to sort of feel good about them, or else I can't continue the painting. I have to convince myself that it's interesting. And of course, next morning I wake up and I say, oh no, that looked good yesterday, but it really doesn't look good today. I have to go back and change it. And believe me, I've had paintings up on my walls for years, and when I finally see the error in it, I have to take that painting down and rework it. I'm not satisfied with it. It doesn't warrant existing in the world. So basically, I ask you to look at the paintings, open yourselves up to them, and see if they move you in any way. And if they do, that's fine. And if they don't, that's also fine. Thank you very much.
Well, Norman Saskowski.
Put the sass in.
Norman S. Okay, thank you. That was, I can tell you're a teacher because you were so very expressive and verbally imaginative. I'd like to ask, as an audience member, you talked about moods or, states of emotion. Some of these feel dark to me, and some feel like a wonderful juxtaposition of a darkness and light. Would you comment on
I am am very much aware that I have I tend to be intense and dramatic and contrasting. I attest that to my Russian background. I'm aware that I'm not a lyrical or a light painter. And I think that's just what emerges for me, so that occasionally, say a painting like this, which tends to be a little toward the lighter side, is unusual. And sometimes I wish that were the case. But they do reflect my emotional state.
Mhm.
And it does tend to be, I am a serious person and I'm an intense person. And that's reflected in the work. And sometimes viewers find that a little upsetting, you know, but all I can do is what I need to do and hope it serves some other purpose.
I'm interested, on behalf of my unseen audience, that one of these paintings is purely abstract shapes, whereas the rest have figurative suggestions in them. Would you comment on why have you changed your approach from realistic to more abstract and expressive?
I've constantly seemed to have gone back and forth in that area. I started out as pretty much a realist painter, part of a New York school of realism. But after I went to Europe, and when I came back from Europe, I discovered jazz, and I found that I could be more improvisational. I could be more open to my feelings, and I really moved away from the need to be descriptive. But I do go back and forth. I'm aware of that, and I'm aware that there are other artists much greater than myself, like Picasso and Henry Moore, who also seem to have that similar tendency between abstraction and realism. The abstraction has to do with being more expressive, and more direct in the expression. The descriptive aspects of painting are exciting, as what I call the little thrill, but it doesn't really meet my needs.
Just speaking personally, I see touches of Chagall in some of these works, both in handling of color and in placement of subject matter.
I'm a great admirer of Chagall's work. I'm a great admirer of some of the German expressionists, like Munch, and I own that. I'm very glad to own it. And but in other respects, I feel that I have a very not that I try to be distinctive, but I think my work is very distinctive. It's my voice.
Would you comment on that a little further? How would you describe your distinctiveness?
That's a tough one. Let's see. Well, I guess I don't think it looks like anyone else's work.
Okay, we'll accept that. How do you feel about living in Woodland Pond as an artist?
Woodland Pond has been, you know, it's the last place in the world I thought as an artist that I would move into. And it has been absolutely wonderful. When I first came here, I had the privilege of putting up quite a few large paintings on the third floor, right at the corner. And I was a little leery, but I would be amazed at how much positive response I have had to my work. My work is not traditional. It's not Hudson River. You know, it's not perhaps even easy, but many, many people have responded to my work. And I'm very, very pleasantly surprised. And obviously, we've lived here, I think, 3 or 4 years, and I have been very productive. We we have a very small apartment, but it hasn't stopped me from working. And it's perfect. I am incredibly grateful to live at Woodland Pond and to have other artists living here as well. So I thank you for asking that question.
We thank you for sharing your wonderful talent with us. We are blessed by having work such as yours that we can enjoy on the walls. Please keep posting and adding and changing.
Thank you very much.